Hi, Cancer, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I am going to be doing your December 29th, 2020 full moon reading. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also to subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload new videos, and I upload all the time, just hit the bell notification button. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will all be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from your body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as you enter into this safe and loving place. All right. Let's let the bowls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. Cancer. How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Fantastic. Okay. Let's see what your chakra energy has to say. Oh, goodness. How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Fantastic. Awesome. Okay. So we are starting here with the Earth Mother. This is the Earth Star Chakra, located 6 inches below your feet. Then we have creativity, the Sacral Chakra. Divine Wisdom, the Soul Star Chakra, located 6 inches above your crown. And finally, we have balance, which is the Root Chakra. And we'll see how this all equates to the tarot in just a moment. We have the moon set up here for you. The left-hand side here is your inner self. The middle is your heart, your emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So we start with the Hermit, which is so apropos. Okay, Cancer, this is your moon. This is quite literally your moon. This is the full moon in Cancer. This is a serendipitous moon, most definitely for you. This is a moon where you really do find yourself coming full circle, embracing a grace, a beauty, a power to yourself that you didn't know you had, you didn't know you wanted, you didn't know was going to be a part of this year for you. You thought there was a lot of hardship and heartbreak during this year, most definitely. And this is a time where you are really connecting with the sacredness of yourself. You're finding yourself stepping into the skin of the sacred feminine, not so maybe crestly as that, but as a sense of kind of coming home. And you're going to be finding yourself really pulling inward, being astoundingly contemplative. It brings you to the Six of Wands. It brings you to a celebration, and it makes you a queen. It makes you the queen of who it is that you are. You're absolutely dedicated to this moon because you feel like you're coming home. You just feel like you are coming home. And it brings you to the Hierophant. It brings you to Taurus energy, time frame April 20th to May 20th. But it brings you to a sense of knowing your power and knowing your grace internally. I mean, you only have one regular minor arcana card here. The other one is a court card. And then you have 2 major arcana cards. This is a card of celebration, of power, of bounty. And that's really what you are embracing. And it brings you here to the messenger of earth. So you do have a very strong connection with this Taurus energy that's coming forward, with this sense of fighting for what it is that you want to develop. Not even fighting, it's just standing your ground. Then you have the Lovers, Gemini energy, which if you're on the cusp with Gemini, Cancer, Gemini time frame is May 21st to June 20th, you are going to see yourself very, very drawn to the energy of the Lovers, more so than usual, but you are going to be very drawn to the Lovers card anyway. You have the repeat of the number 6. This is the most healing, most nurturing, most compassionate number, which really does link you with the sacred feminine. You then have the Queen of Air right next to the Queen of Water. That's beautiful. The elemental aspects of yourself are really coming forward. And then you have the 8 of Air, the 8 of Swords. There's a sense of feeling trapped within your own heart, within what it is that you desire, but there's also this sense of raging against the trap. And you're going to think, oh wow, raging is super bad, especially as a Cancer energy. You feel most at home when you are serenely within yourself. And no matter how you build that serenity within you, keeping that serenity is paramount to you being able to move forward fiercely and boldly and powerfully. And with the 8 of Air, you are really rebelling against a cage that you feel you have been put in, or you feel that has kind of built up around you. This is a cage of the mind. This is a cage of perceptions and understandings and thinking, well, I can't do that. I've always failed there. And there's a sense here of breaking free. You have the Ace of Swords. You're definitely taking this gift of knowledge. You have a repeat of the number 8 now with the 8 of Water, the 8 of Cups. You're moving forward in a way that is absolutely right for you. The repeat of the number 8 means that you can take this time astoundingly seriously, so much so that you kind of lose track of the joy of it all. So do be mindful of that. But this also connects you even greater to the sacred feminine. This connects you to eternity, to what it is that you really desire as you move forward. You have the Chariot coming in, which is you represented in the major arcana. This is also, of course, the full moon in Cancer coming forward. And then you have the 10 of Cups, which is, and they all live happily ever after, which is absolutely beautiful. And you might say, Dane, there's a long way before the happily ever after comes. And that's completely understandable. But there's a blessing here that's being spoken over you. There's a blessing here that's rooting you in the public arena. And sometimes us as human beings, we think, well, the public arena is the only one that matters, right? If everybody can't see it, then it doesn't happen or it isn't real. And you're going to find here that in the public arena, there's going to be so much sculpted and placed upon your shoulders, depending on how you feel and how you embrace what you desire from life and who it is that you you know yourself to be, and the blessings that are a part of you. And that's where you're going to find the chakra energy really starts to come in here, because you will see, and I love the way, it's put out. It's like within your inner self, there is this balance that you're seeking. There is this great understanding of the root chakra. And we're going to start here because that's what divinity is saying. It's like we're starting at your root. We're starting at the root within you, the balance of the sacred masculine, the sacred feminine, the sacredness within us that we as human beings, we tend to forget. We tend to think, okay, it's all, math and science, and things have to be a certain way and everything has to be structured just like so. And if I have order over my surroundings, then all of a sudden everything becomes good. And you're going to find that life is very different from that. And you have found that life is very different from that. That there's this sense of chaos and change and triumph and disaster coming forward. And there's a balance to you as you weather all the storms. And you're finding that your rooted self is so much deeper, so much more complex than you had known, or than you had even realized. And it brings you here to wisdom. It brings you to the wisdom of your heart, this sacred wisdom being spoken over you, and it connects you then with the Earth Mother. So at your root is this balance coming in of the masculine, of the feminine, of creation and of chaos. And here there is the divine wisdom that you're seeing things differently. You're seeing things a little bit more erratically. It's not in a kind of, grungy way. It's in a very beautiful way that you're starting to see things coming together. You're starting to see energy flowing forward and around you, and the wisdom that you're embracing. You're like, well, why didn't I see it like this before? Why didn't I have this confidence or this understanding or this desire to move forward in such power of my own skin? And then with the Earth Mother, or Mother Earth, you're finding that so much is linked back to the rooted aspect of yourself, to the fact that you walk upon this planet, the fact that you are here for, a finite, amount of time. And you look at Mother Earth, and we always think of Mother Earth as this kind, compassionate, beautiful entity of being. And it is, the earth nurtures us, and the earth cradles us, but the earth also brings us the most terrible storms, blizzards, and hurricanes, and tornadoes, and earthquakes, and just can make life beautiful, but can also make life terrifying. And so here, as you're moving forward, you're seeing that within yourself, and you're kind of pulling that from the wisdom that's around you. It's kind of like you're looking at the eye of the storm, you're looking at the chaos of being, and you're saying, oh, I didn't expect to be able to move forward that way, or I didn't expect this to traverse me to what it is that I want. But with the Earth Star Chakra and the Soul Star Chakra coming together, you are blessed by wisdom, and you are grounded within not only necessity, because you live upon the earth, right? And it feeds you and everything like that, but also by respect and by a little bit of fear. It's like by a healthy dose of greater understanding and greater truth and greater power towards what it is that you are creating within your life and the unknown. And then we have creativity, which is the sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra is where a lot of negative energy is held from this life, from past lives. A lot of generational curses are held within the sacral chakra too. And the generational curses are, it's such a dramatic way, and so I kind of like it and I kind of don't, of saying, kind of the sins of the father get passed on to the son. It's the chaos that we grow up with. It's the fact that our parents didn't know better. It's the fact that we have scars, and we kind of were born into scars. And so there's that we come out with almost right off the bat that we can't fight against when we're little. And then there's also scars, and it has been scientifically proven that we have DNA memory. People who have suffered tremendous trauma have, within their DNA line closer to the age for which, like when they were born, okay, they can handle things with more stress. They can have a bigger proclivity towards depression, towards, fear and stuff like that. And so here, there are things that are out of our control that we're impacted by, and we have to take note of. There's also our past life self, where we look at things and we have this sense of, well, I don't know why I have that notion. I don't know why I have that fear, but I know that I do. And so here, when we look at our sacral chakra, we look at all of that. And then we look at what we ourselves have gathered up, the fears, the doubts, the chaos, the anger. And we look at the way that we need to move forward within our lives, but we also look at the energy that is around us, and kind of this is like the wall that is crumbling down, kind of like the wall of Jericho when you blow the trumpet and the wall comes crumbling down. That's what you're going to be seeing here. It's like, this is when I claim my power, when I claim my truth, when I claim my passion, when I have a greater understanding of who it is that I am. Then I look within and I see what is holding me back. I see the hurt, the pain that I might need to talk to somebody to be able to work out. It could be a professional, it could be a friend, it could be journaling it out, it could be talking it into a recorder and then listening back and seeing how you feel about it and kind of having a conversation with yourself. Because you're going to be seeing that as you embrace your creativity, because that's going to be a huge part of you during this time, Cancer, is that as you embrace your creativity, as you embrace your passion, as you embrace what you desire, you start to find the keys. You start to find what you've been longing for but have been missing. And as you turn the lock, the creative energy that comes around you, the sexual energy that comes around you, the sense of creation and power and beauty and truth that becomes a part of you is so exquisite, but it can also be so overwhelming that you're looking at this moon and it's kind of like you open Pandora's box, right? And as you open Pandora's box, everything comes out, everything into the world, and the last thing that you are left with is hope. And that seems so much of the time, especially in 2020, so much of what we have seen, what we are left with is hope. And so here, as you move forward in this moon, you're surrendering to the divine and you're finding your power in doing so, because this is a moon of synchronicity to you and for you. This is a moon of coming full circle. This is a moon of looking at what you desire and looking at what you need. And it's bringing the sacred feminine to the forefront, that if Cancer, you live with the sacred feminine in the forefront of your soul and of yourself, that reclaiming of the throne, the seeing of your power, the being able to drive that chariot, to hone your strength no matter what comes, that's going to be absolutely unstoppable for you. And it brings you to a profound connection with family, with your DNA, with what it is that you desire, with the family that you've created, with kind of like the rooted self that you have made within this world. And then it brings you to connection with your emotional well-being. And where is it that you want to be? And what is it that you need to nurture you? And how is it that you want to move forward? Because a personal issue is reaching a resolution. Why? It's not because it magically all falls together, though for some it may seem that way. It's things start to fall together in your mind for yourself. You start to break down barriers. You start to look at things more openly, more honestly, more succinctly for you. And since this sign is the sign of the moon, you are in your element. And that is just going to be so tremendously empowering. It's kind of like I can topple, what is in my way. I can have mountains crumble beneath me if I need to, in order to get to where it is that I want to be, in order to move forward in my truth and in my bounty and in my understanding. You feel at home within your skin. And that is so often what we as human beings are seeking. We're seeking to feel at home within ourselves. So trust your instincts, trust your intuition. You have this spot-on way of looking at things, but also understand that you can become highly emotionally driven during this time. And it can make it so that your emotions rule, are driving kind of this car rather than you. And so here, you're going to find that you feel rather nostalgic. You run on high emotions. You make important decisions very quickly based off of those emotions. So kind of step back just a little bit and connect with yourself. Say, what is it that I desire? What is it that I want? Because you're absorbing and acquiring the information that you need. You just need to be able to take time to digest it and to, truly understand it. Because during this moon, you're going to want to be much more introspective than usual. You're going to have that bit of a war with yourself. And that could be also where the Gemini energy comes through, that duality of personality coming forward, where one part of your heart is like, this is how I feel, this is how I have to move forward, this is where my heart is. And the other part of you, your heart is like, okay, but let me think it through. There are long-term consequences. Will I still feel this way in the morning? Am I being rash? Am I being too bold? And so here, you have to find that balance. And you also have to not let others really impact the way that you react and the way that you move forward. Because you're going to find, as you usually are, Cancer, you're going to find that you're much more sympathetic to others than you are to yourself. So you'll sit there and you'll think, oh, well, that person is absolutely right. That is a fantastic point. Even if you're just kind of meditating on something, something is tumbling in your mind, and you then start to think, about it, and then you start to hear somebody say something, or you're listening to something, and it strikes that nerve, and you're like, oh, that person is absolutely right. That's exactly the way that I should do it. Step back a minute. Step back a minute, because you're going to see here the emotion of the full moon in Cancer, of your moon, is balanced with the new moon in Capricorn on the 13th of January. So on the 13th of January, you step into this new moon. And this is a time of new starts. This is a time of new beginnings. And this is a time where kind of like a change is coming. And so on the 13th of January, you have the sense of your hard work paying off. And it's like, excuse me, it's like how, why, where am I headed? What do I need? What is it that I'm going after? But you know that what you have set your sights on, what you have given your life to, what you most desire is kind of coming forward. It's not going to be in the way that you expect. This time is going to be so powerful for you. It's going to open up so many doors that you thought were barred, or you didn't even know that you wanted them to be opened. But it's going to come in such a offhanded ways, in such a interesting way, that it's going to be hard to see at times. It's going to be hard to fully understand. So do be mindful of that as you are moving forward, because the hard work is paying off, but it's not going to be in the ways that you initially anticipated. And now the full moon in Leo is on the 28th of January, and it says, don't let pride get in your way. And Cancer, you're pretty good at not letting pride get in your way, though sometimes you can let emotions kind of like rule things. And emotional pride, and is pride in and of itself, right? So here, as you are moving forward, as you're going after what it is that you want and what it is that you desire, don't let, well, I'll prove it to them. Don't let oh yeah, it's pride, yes, but it's kind of like an oh yeah pride. It's like, oh yeah, I'll show you. And sometimes that's very, very good. But this is a time where you're going to find that you, again, because of the full moon in Cancer, you're going to have that inclination to be like, well, if that person says I can't, you're taking what other people say more seriously than at times maybe you should. And, or no, not at times maybe you should, then you should. And so here, this pride can be led by what other people think, by how you perceive other people of perceiving you. And so here, it's just going to be being very mindful of the way that you are moving forward and of what's driving you. Because if this is a you thing, if it is yes, I'm going to be proud of what I have accomplished, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm not going to be, it's not going to be a sense of look at me, look at me, look at me type of thing, because that's going to be where you need to find the balance. Now, your spirit animals for this time in December, and I know we only have 3 days in December that this full moon kind of really hits. And so you have the horse spirit and you have the owl spirit. And what's so important here is the horse spirit is your connection with the sacred masculine. You have this increase and strong sexual energy around you, which you can either, of course, use as a sexual energy and sexual release, or you can use it as creative energy and to hone that and to kind of focus that. And here it says freedom is yours, because you're going to find that to be very freeing, very cathartic, very empowering. But you're also going to find that this is the driving force that leads you forward, this sense of, what do I thrive on? What is it that I want within my life? What kind of gets me excited about being, about existing? What arouses me within this world? And as you're moving forward in that energy and in those strong emotions, you look at your personality, the tame part of your personality and the wild part of your personality, and you say, how is it that I want to embrace my life? And how is it that I want to go after what it is that I desire within my existence, within my creative energy, within my realm of being? Of course, always coming from a place of love and kindness and respect. You're going to find that you are really pushing barriers for yourself. You're sitting there and you're finding the sacred feminine energy is most definitely around you, with the owl spirit, with you being in the moon, with this moon being in your sign of Cancer, and Cancer, you being so deeply connected to the moon. You are going to find that, that you're claiming a throne that you thought was lost. You're claiming a power that you thought might not have been yours anymore. And then with the owl spirit, this connects you very deeply again to the sacred feminine. And what's really cool about the owl spirit is that the owl spirit is the spirit animal for December, but it's also the spirit animal for January. So you have heightened intuition, which is amplified and amplified again because this is your sign and because it is your full moon. You have this like thrice amplified sense of intuition, sense of instinct, and you see what others can't. Now, other people are also seeing what others can't, so it can make it a little bit tricky at this time because everybody thinks, oh, I'm seeing what you just don't understand type of thing. But yours is on a different level. You're operating just a little bit higher than other people are on this, but everybody's insight, everybody's seeing what others can't is going to be completely in alignment with themselves, with the reason why they're here on this earth, with why they are moving forward, what it is, the lessons that they have to overcome and come to conclusions of. And this is announcing change within you with this owl spirit, as you see clearly. You see beyond the deceits and the masks of others, and it transforms you, it changes you, and it brings you to a time of facing the shadows. It brings you to a time of facing the fear and finding wisdom in what had once been very overwhelming for you. And as you find this wisdom, it's time to hold on to your truth and no longer being dependent in lies, no longer sitting there and saying, oh, well, that has its purpose and that has its meaning. And you're finding that you're embracing a spiritual perspective and a spiritual sense of perfection that shifts you during this time. And it brings you to the brown bear spirit. It brings you to the bear spirit of January, which is, here, take time out to look at the seeds that you are planting over your heart, to ground yourself in your strength, in your, in challenging your confidence, in challenging the way that you move forward, in challenging, the truth of you and where you stand and what you stand for. And you're here really embracing a symbol of healing through solitude, through meditation, through rest, through contemplation. And that absolutely connects you to the hermit that is crowning you within your inner self. This is, of course, Virgo energy, and this is a sense of finding the key that unlocks your door, finding the key that you've been waiting for to move you forward, to bring you to that next level, to have you understanding things more deeply, more succinctly, more powerfully, more spiritually, more purposefully. And you're not going to be as concerned with the outside world. Now, are you going to be a bit concerned? Sure, of course. But you're going to sit there and there's going to be a moment in your life during this time. It's kind of like, this is who I am. It's not a moment. It's actually a revelation. It's like, this is who I am. This is what I need to be. And maybe tomorrow it will change. Maybe tomorrow it will stay the same. But for today, this is what I'm embracing. And if you wake up every single day with that sentiment, even if you're having like a really crummy day and you just want the day to end, you want everything to be over, you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to pull the covers up over my ears and just be left alone. This is a sense of unlocking the key as to how you move forward and what it is that you truly want and where it is that you're heading, and the sense of solitude and greater understanding and power and truth. And it brings you to this hermit. It brings you to the unlocking of a door, a very powerful place within you where it's like divinity has been waiting for you to be ready to take in this information, to take on this challenge of being. And it is a game changer for you, most definitely. And as you are moving forward, you start to celebrate yourself. The Six of Wands is like, start to celebrate you. And you might have thought like, well, there's nothing to celebrate. I am just simply me, not too bad, not too good, kind of like in the middle, like lukewarm porridge, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's not the worst. And Spirit is saying here that couldn't be further from the truth, especially during this time as you're stepping into your power, as you have this tremendous capacity for sympathy, for compassion, for understanding, and it's leading you forward. But what you're going to find is that, yes, it's going to be so easy to be sympathetic and compassionate and understanding for others, but it's that sympathy, it's that compassion, it's that understanding for yourself that's going to be so empowering. Because the Six of Wands, it always asks me whenever I see this, whenever I see this card, it's like, what type of boss are you being for you? If you were the ruler of a kingdom, how are you ruling your people? But to put it into our modern terms, are you the type of boss that lifts everybody up? Or are you the type of boss that when you walk through the door, everybody's like, oh man, they work today, come on. And nobody works as hard. Everybody kind of scurries away and tries to avoid them. What type of voice do you have within yourself? Is it that good good boss that builds you up, that, keeps you going, that you're excited to work with, that challenges you, that praises you, that points out things where you can, kind of build on, and skills that you can build on? Or are you that boss that nobody wants to work with, that you're like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to that person now. Goodness, it's only going to be horrible. Because it depends so much during this time, depends on your inner dialogue. Because if you have a very negative inner dialogue, those keys are going to be harder to find. The unlocking at that door is going to be harder to come to. And the sense of being able to rise the way that divinity wants you to rise, that's going to be such a challenge in and of itself. It's going to be like, can I? Can I? And the answer is absolutely you can. And there is a real sense here that you want to rule now your life, you want to rule your existence, you want to rule your world with kindness, compassion, and understanding, because that's what the Queen of Cups does. The Queen of Cups says, just as the King of Cups says, now the King of Cups says it a bit more loudly and forcefully, but the Queen of Cups says, I rule me. I rule me. And the only person who can illuminate my path, the only person who can, be on this journey with me is me. And I walk forward in this truth, in this power, in this understanding, in this grace. I walk forward in me. And that's what you're doing during this time. It's like there's a peace that's coming over you. There's this revelation through contemplation, through connection, that opens up the doors, that changes the playing field, that has you looking at things so differently, so profoundly, so intricately, that not only do you become more introspective, but you become more sage-like. You become wise. And it can be for moments. It can be just for like little flickers of lights, of wisdom, of divinity speaking to you. It's kind of like, when you're going to do something and your head says, be careful, you're going to drop the cup. And you don't listen and you think, oh, that's a weird thing to think. And then 5 seconds later, you drop the cup. That's going to be what's happening here. It's going to be divinity is speaking to you, and in speaking to you in such odd ways. It can be that you're looking at like the leaves blowing a certain way, or you're looking at the snow falling, and then all of a sudden you have this crystal clear thought, and you think, oh, that's a weird thing to think of. Think of it as divinity or your angels or your spirit guides whispering in your ear, guiding you. Start to hone that. Start to embrace that during this time, because that's what makes you so incredibly fierce. That's what has you embracing this Hierophant energy. And the Hierophant in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is the Pope. And the Pope in medieval times was the King of Kings. He was the person who could tell kings, who could tell emperors what to do, and they listened. And so here there is a power to you. If you are true to yourself, if you uphold what is most dear to you, most sacred to you, most powerful for you, most true to you, you then uphold everything that you are and everything that you will be. And this is saying here, this is my truth, this is my power, this is my vision, this is who I am. And that becomes your anthem. Your truth becomes your anthem. It's kind of like you're operating on a different field than everybody else. Other people are still trying to figure this out. They're stumbling. They're contemplating. They're seeking. And you're looking at this during this time, especially because it's amplified in everybody. But during this time, it's kind of like you're ahead of the curve. Most definitely. You're ahead of everybody else. And you're sitting there and you're like, this is who I am. And this is the power that is me. And that becomes your grace forward. That becomes what sets you apart. And that's what you defend within your heart. That's why you have here yourself as the Knight of Pentacles, the messenger of Earth. It's like, this is Earth's message to you. And that's why you have the Earth Star Chakra here. And that's why you have the sacral chakra and the... Did you have 2 Earth Star chakras? No, in the root chakra. I was like, which one was the other one? And the root chakra right here. It's like, this is your root, and this is your sacred self. And this is the self that has been locked away. And you have the keys that are standing out. 1 platinum, 1 silver, one gold. And you have, other keys along the way that kind of follow that pattern. And there's a sense of kind of like the sacred metals of life, the sacred metals of understanding, the sacred metals of alchemy coming forward. And you being that that vessel that is transmutated. You being that person that is irrevocably changed. Because what is it in alchemy that everybody was trying to do? They were trying to turn lead into gold. They were trying to turn, something that was rather common into something rather extraordinary. And that is the quest of human life. You take somebody who is commonplace, and if they live in their truth, and if they embrace the power of their soul, then they become extraordinary individuals. And that's the message here of your earthly self as you move forward, connected with your heart, as you slowly and steadily build that solid foundation of being and understanding and questing and seeking and what you desire. And it makes you here, and it calls you to falling in love with life, and falling in love with what once seemed overwhelming, or what once seemed like, wow, I'd lose myself. You know how you can be afraid of love, or you could be afraid of loving this person because you think, I'll just lose myself to them. Oh my gosh, they're going to just, they're such a force, and I'm not. And so I could just lose myself to everything that they are. And that's kind of what falling in love with your life is like. It's like, what if I lose myself to the bigger chaos, to the bigger force of this world? And what if you do? Like, what if you step into that chaos of creation and you lose yourself a bit, but you find everything. Like, you find everything, and you find your reason for being, and you find what you love about life, and you have that spark, you have that joy. Your resting face is not one of like sadness. It's not sitting there thinking, wow, all my dreams have been destroyed and it's too late to start over. You know how we get so very nihilistic on ourselves. It's a smile. It's kind of like, I wonder what happens next. Have you ever seen the difference? Like, if you look at two people where one is, and they're the same person, you look at two pictures, right? One is a person with a frowning resting face, and the other person is a person with a smiling resting face. And just that simple act makes the person look completely different. And that's what you're going to see here. You're going to see that duality of personality, that twin self. One is of sorrow and one is of love. And with this energy coming forward, it's like, how do I move in love? And that's one of the challenges for a Gemini. It's kind of like, I want everybody to love me. How do I move in love to make just everybody happy? And the fact of the matter is, you've already failed if that's your goal. Because everybody's not going to be happy. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody is going to want things their way, and their way isn't always going to align with your way. And so here, it is a sense of simply falling in love with you. And it sounds so simple, and it sounds so trite, but it's so powerful. If you meet a person who truly loves themselves, who sits there and values themselves, because you are stepping into your own skin, because you're claiming the home of your soul, you're going to find that this becomes astoundingly powerful. And you become the warrior queen of your mind. You become a warrior queen of your heart. And what's so beautiful is that you would think here, quite literally, you would think the Queen of Hearts, the Queen of Cups should be in the heart, and the Queen of Swords should be in the mind, because the Queen of Cups is the heart, and the Queen of Swords is the mind. And it always seems like the heart and the mind don't get on. But when the heart and the mind come together, because we are emotional beings and we need to embrace our emotions, we need to understand our emotions, but we also can't be carried away by our emotions, because our emotions can bring us to these wild and crazy places. So here, it's having your heart and your mind listen to each other. And it's saying, as I move internally, as I am figuring things out and moving myself forward, my heart guides me. And as my heart guides me, my mind is talking to my heart, because the warrior queen, okay, the Queen of Swords, the swords are the only weapon in the major, in the tarot, in the minor arcana. So the swords are the only pure weapon. Everything else can have a dual purpose. A cup isn't really a weapon. You can poison the cup, but you have to put poison into it. The staff can be a weapon, but it can also be a sapling. It can also be a walking stick. It has different purposes. A sword is simply a sword. You can use it for other things, but it's cumbersome and it's odd. But a sword is a sign of nobility. A sword is a sign of being raised in favor. Back in ancient times, you would be gifted with a sword, okay? And that would show that you were rising to nobility within that culture, because you were a brave fighter, because you did something heroic. The sword within ourselves, that is our weapon. That is our weapon. Our mind is our weapon. And our heart is our truth. So the heart is what we need. We need water. to be able to survive. Human beings cannot survive without water. We can't survive without food either, but we need the water first. Then we can survive a little bit longer without food. With the sword, it's looking at the weapon that is your mind. It's looking at the way that you've taken everything in. It's looking at how having a well-honed mind makes you completely formidable, raises you in the nobility of the world, okay, raises you in the nobility of yourself. It's kind of like if you think things through, if you can be calm and calculating at times and sit there and not just be reactionary, but contemplative, that changes the game. And that changes the game for you because you're seeing things clearly. And that clarity is what moves you forward. It's kind of like when you ask somebody older than you, or you ask somebody for advice, and they look at a situation in a way that you hadn't, because they're not looking at it emotionally, or they don't have the same things invested in it as you do. That's going to be what the sword does. It's kind of like what best suits me. It's kind of like, what's my best fighting style? It's kind of like an exercise routine. Some people can run on the treadmill, and that's awesome. They stay in great shape. And some people, they run on the treadmill forever and ever and ever, and they just burn themselves out, and it doesn't get them to the same place that, let's say, weightlifting would get them, or doing something else. So here, it's like, how is it that you best use this skill? What is your mind best honed for? And how are you sharpening that skill to make yourself this queen, to have yourself being this hero of your story? And it brings you then to the Eight of Air, and it's feeling trapped. It's looking at everything, and it's seeing the validity in everything, because again, you are going to be so sympathetic during this time. And you already are. You already have a sympathetic nature. You can already, what is it? Yeah, empathetic. You can already easily be empathic here. Yeah, you can be Cancer. And so when this is amplified during this moon, you feel more in your skin. You're more worried about other people than you are of yourself. And you have to remember to be worried about yourself, not in this like, oh my gosh, am I going to be okay way, but in this, I matter. I'm seeing me. I'm valuing me. What do I need right now? How do I move forward type of way? Because at the root is the doubt, the fear, the cage. And people live their whole lives in this cage of the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is a sense of, I can't move forward, is a sense of, I don't know which way I'll turn, that wouldn't get me cut, that wouldn't, devastate me, that wouldn't break my heart, that wouldn't make this just so much harder than it already is. And this is stepping out of your mind, because instead of your mind being a prison, instead of your mind sitting there and holding all the reasons why you shouldn't, it's embracing all the reasons why you should. It's looking at you and saying, well, if not now, then when? If not you, then who? Okay, so you failed. You know what? Here's the secret. Everybody in this world has failed. And if we wait for those moments when we won't fail, we'll just never do anything. And I was listening to these actors talk. I don't know how I found it on YouTube, but some of these actors were talking about how they didn't have a backup plan. They were grossly successful. And they were like, I didn't have a backup plan because I didn't want to give myself an out. Okay? But so they caged themselves in one way or another, but they didn't really, because they had these successes that they kind of springboard off of. And here with the Eight of Air, you're going to find that there are ways where you sat there, and there were times in your life where you thought, well, if I fail, if I make this mistake, if I make this misstep, if this person doesn't react this way, then there's no way forward. Like, then this is off the table type of thing. And we do it to ourselves all the time. We can see how failure builds failure and success builds success. I forget what type of principle it is. It's the Matthew principle. There we go. That's what it is. The Matthew principle says that, and they use that in business, too much is given, much will be, to whom much is expected, much will be given. And then, like, when you start to fall, you'll really start to fall. And so these are failed hopes, dreams, and these are disappointments. These are when we thought, oh, I'm not going to give myself an out. I'm going to do this no matter what. And it was the wrong fit. It was like trying to fit your shoe. It's like not being Cinderella, but still wanting the prince, right? So here, it's like, stop it. Stop caging yourself in the failures. Stop sitting there and saying, well, if this doesn't work, I have no way out. It's going to. It's like, what if you were supposed to do something else? Like, what if you were supposed to change it? If you were supposed to look at things differently? Because one of the actresses that were talking was like, oh, well, I went out for really serious roles, and then I found out that I was a really good comedian, and everybody started to laugh. So I switched it, and I went out for comedic roles. And I was like, well, if you stayed as a serious, like, drama actress, then you wouldn't have gone into comedy and you wouldn't have had your big breaks. So you were growing and you were transforming, but you were doing it in a very kind of specific way. And that's what the Eight of Swords is here for you, Cancer. It's like this very specific way. It's like, this is your field. This is who it is that you are. And we can't change who we are. We might want to. We might want to sit there and say, well, I don't want to be this anymore. I want to be more like this person. They're so much more successful. They have so much more money, so on and so forth. But here, it's like, don't do that to yourself. Don't cage yourself in somebody else's dreams. Don't cage yourself in somebody else's thoughts. And don't sit there and say, if it doesn't happen exactly like this, then I have failed. Because what you're doing here and what you have here is, in the public arena, you have divinity handing you this gift of knowledge and passion and ideas and this new sword, this new weapon to use against the world and to hone your skills and to move yourself forward. And you find that it has you walking away from what you once thought you would love. It's like, oh no, I'm done. And that's like, you're seeing a new way to spread your wings, your new way to fly, and that frees you from the cage. Because in the Eight of Swords, in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's 8 swords around a person in like this open field or, wherever they are. And they're blindfolded. But if you spread your wings and you see that you can fly, well, you walk away. You walk away from what you once thought you had to be in. You walked away from what you once thought you would love. You walk away. It doesn't fit you anymore. It isn't right. And it isn't an eternal penance. It is a sense of, well, I can change, can't I? I can become something more. And this is an ending, and it can be bittersweet, most definitely. But it's freeing and it's powerful, and it does take time to heal and to understand. But it transforms and it guides and it becomes you, and it has you walking away to who it is that you were meant to be. Walking away to who it is that you most greatly desire. And as you do so, it's like, I'm more powerful than I thought I was. The charioteer, we forget that in medieval times, in medieval times, in ancient times, the chariots, they were the elite of the elite. Not everybody got to drive a chariot at all. It was pharaohs who got to drive chariots in ancient Rome, and so forth. It was a sign of great wealth and prestige and, heroics. And so here that you are the chariot, and Cancer, you're considered one of the kindest, most loving of signs. That's powerful. Why? Because there's power within the heart. The heart decides so much for us. But there's also power within you that is easy to overlook. That you might overlook yourself because you're like, oh, well, I'm not strong like this. I'm not strong like a Leo. I'm not strong like a Capricorn. You're strong like you. You're strong through emotion. You're strong through empathy. You're strong through compassion. You're strong through an understanding of dreams and heart and soul and self. And you move forward in the wild side of you, and you move forward in the tamed side of you, and you see what others turn away from. Because you look at the tamed and the untamed. You look at the shadowed side of self. And you look at the side of the self that we say, oh, this can see the light of day. And you see yourself charging forward in just a truth and a power and a dignity. And it brings you to the 10 of Cups. It brings you to when they all live happily ever after. It's like a solemn promise that there is beauty out there for you, that there is happiness to come and to build off of. And you're seeing glimpses of your dream. You're seeing glimpses of your passion. You're seeing glimpses of where your soul is guiding you and what your soul is guiding you towards. And it's like, oh my gosh, finally. It's like, can this be? And you're going to see that as you start having positivity come into you, wins come to you little by little, the Matthew principle pays off. It's like, yes, too much is given, much is expected. And so you start to build, you start to grow, you start to become, you start to step into that power. And it's like, I deserve this, because you do. It's not in that prideful, elitist sort of way. It is in that way that I've worked hard, and it's nice to see hard work rewarded, which is what's happening. So let's see what the moon has to say. How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. And show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Show me clearly, guide this reading. How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? How will Cancer be affected by the December 29th, 2020 full moon? Ooh, goodness. And of course, that's your first card that just fell down. Okay. So there we go. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. And show me clearly, angels. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Awesome. So we have extremes, which you will definitely be experiencing during this time. Growth, self-reflection, discernment, have faith in your dreams. A win-win outcome is forecast. That's beautiful. Prosperity lies ahead. Step out of your comfort zone. A fiery climax approaches. So it's like, yes, you're on the right path. So that's glorious. Now, does this moon kind of take you for a ride a bit? Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. You have your extremes as you open up the door. You have your extremes as you become the leader you need to be within your life. You kind of pendulum back and forth. It's like, can I do this? Can't I do this? Do I want to walk through this door? Do I not want to walk through this door? Do I want to be more introspective on myself? Do I want to be compassionate to myself? Don't I want to be? Am I going to push and push and push till I get to where it is that I want to be, until like my body collapses? Or am I going to be kinder to myself and see and explore and see what's right for me and see what just isn't? Because we tend to think that, yes, all people are created equal, right? In the rights that they deserve and in the essence of humanity. But not all people are created equal in their talents. Not all people are created equal in what they strive for and what they want from life and what they dream of. And so if we sit there and we say, okay, this is the box, everybody step into it, some people just aren't going to fit into it because it's not right for them. So why are you trying? So why do we keep on trying as a people to sit there and say, well, I have to be just like this. I have to be this tall and, blonde-haired and blue-eyed and super, super skinny and look like a supermodel, which there is nothing wrong with that. If you look like that, I mean, that's ideal, right? But if you don't, why would you feel bad about yourself? If you're made in the image of divinity, if you have stardust running through your veins, if there is power and grace and beauty to you, why wouldn't you see that? And why is it that we don't let people see that? Is it because they won't consume more? You won't buy the diet pills, you won't buy the makeup, you won't spend, 2 hours a day, contouring and thising and thating in order to look perfect? So here we have the extremes, the extreme of what's in our hearts and our souls and the extreme of what the world wants from us. And it's finding your place within that extreme. It's finding your path. It's saying, am I me or am I what everybody else wants me to be? And, the humdinger is like, can I be successful being me? And it's like, well, can you be successful being anybody else? And do you want to be anybody else? Because there's growth here in embracing your life as your queen, as the Queen of Cups, as the queen of yourself, and saying, I rule but one person in this world, and it will be myself. And it is myself. And as I rule me, I move forward in power and dignity and passion and in truth. And it brings you to that self-reflection. It brings you to that great understanding. And it brings you to saying, this is who I am. And I can't be anybody else. This is me. This is all aspects of me, emotionally, physically, personally, powerfully, lovingly, compassionately. This is me. And you see that. And you can also, as you have the self-reflection, you could see all the different paths that life could have taken you on. All the different ways that you could have moved forward, all the different ways that you could have soared, or you could have failed, or, a myriad of things in betweens. And we tend to live in the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. We tend to live in the, rose-colored glasses of the past and the longed-for dreams of the future. And we forget about the present. Be discerning of the energy that you let in. Be discerning of how you guard what you hold sacred on this earthly plane as you move towards love, as you move towards power. We sit there and we think, oh, I'm supposed to let everybody into, my kingdom, into my world. It's like, no, you're not. Because some people aren't good for you, and you're not good for some people, right? So there's this sense of being discerning. It's like, this is me, this is who I am. And if your energy vibrations don't match, why try? Why go after it? Or why, sit there and say, oh, there's something that I've done wrong. It's like, no, it's time to move forward. It's time to sit there and say, things have changed. I have changed, and now I can be discerning with the energy that I let in. Because it's like quality over quantity. You can have one really well-made thing, or you can have 18 million, kind of crumbly made things that break really easily. What do you want? You want one really good, solid relationship in your life? Or do you want 18 million ones that break and don't follow through and don't know you, type of thing? And it's building off of that one, building off of that connection and that power and that grace and that brilliance. You become discerning to the energy that you let in. And that brings you to having faith in your dreams, because that brings you to start shining in the best possible way. It raises your energy vibration. It shows you what it is that you desire from life, who it is that you are. It shows you your dreams can be brought to the forefront of your reality and can be exquisite. And so as you embrace your dreams, you become the warrior queen. You become the person who is like, I am the warrior of my truth. I have honed my skills. I have made the sacrifices. I have put in the long hours. You don't become an expert in anything. You don't become a master swordsman if you just sit there, look at the sword and say, oh, it would be really cool if I could, twirl the sword around and be able to use it. And when you pick it up, you cut yourself and stuff like that. No, it takes hours upon hours. What do they say? It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in something, to become talented in something. So it's your 10,000 hours. And then it's your 10,000 more hours and your 10,000 more hours. And it's the pushing of the limits, and it's the seeing, it's the finding the rhythm and the dance and the way that the sword fits in your hand and what type of sword you need to use and how your mind works and how you perceive things and the language that you use and the brilliance that is you. Have faith in your dreams, because you're sculpting, you're crafting them. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not always going to be what we expect. Our talents might not be what we expect them to be. But when we start to see like, oh, wow, I'm really good with people. Why can't my talent lie around people? Like, why does it have to lie around this thing or that thing or where somebody else is talented at? It's kind of like, if everybody in your family is really talented with computers and you're not, why would you try to make yourself super talented with computers when you have a talent all your own? And it might be different, and it might not, maybe bring in the revenue that the others get to bring in. But you might find that as you hone your skill, there's something exquisite about it, and there's something uniquely powerfully you, and then you can find yourself moving to that level with an ease and with a grace that others sit there and they're like, wow, how did you do that? Like, how did you do that? It's because you put in your 10,000 hours. It's because you did, and so the dream became. It became more and more of your reality, and it brings you to a win-win outcome being forecast as you free yourself from the cage of the mind. As you free yourself from, oh, there's no other option, it has to be just like this. It's like, no, free yourself, balance yourself, be discerning, because it brings you to prosperity lying ahead. With that stubborn, bullheaded, Taurian mentality of, I'm taking this gift and I'm moving forward, I'm going after what I need, I'm going after what I want, prosperity lies ahead. That's that. That's where I get to be. And it brings you then to stepping out of your comfort zone in a real, scary, powerful way as you step into the essence of yourself. And a fiery climax approaches, a fiery climax of brilliance and happiness and joy and a sense of this gets to be me. And this doesn't mean it's just during this moon that this all happens. This is like your springboard of the next year, of 2021. This is you looking at you, Cancer, and saying, but what about me? Like, how do I move forward? Where do I want to go? How do I embrace my grace? And it brings you to your subconscious, Luna message, which is patience. Be patient, because there's greatness ahead of you. Be patient as you enter into the unknown. And it leads you. And nobody likes to be patient. We like everything on our time. Be patient because it's happening in divine timing. And we cannot change that. And it then brings you to the full moon in Gemini. The answers you need are coming. The answers you need are coming as you step into the power of yourself. As you are patient, you get exactly what you need. You get exactly what you desire. And it brings you then to your subconscious chakra message, which is psychic development, the third eye chakra. I mean, I would have been surprised. I was surprised, actually, that psychic development didn't come up. The third eye didn't come up at all when we were doing your chakra cards earlier. And here it's at a subconscious level. It is at the core of everything that you're doing. Subconsciously, you are developing these skills. The veil is being lifted from your eyes. You're seeing things more clearly, more succinctly, more powerfully, more introspectively. Divinity is walking with you. Your angels are cocooning you, and you're seeing this grace guiding you to the place that you need to be. And you can see things just so much more clearly. It can become overwhelming. You might need to tell divinity, you know what, slow down. Like, this is a bit intense. But it is also just exquisite. Let it develop. Let it develop. You'll be surprised where it takes you. Your subconscious tarot message is the messenger of air, is the Knight of Swords. You become a defender of your truth. The Knight of Swords, for me, I always think of Prince Charming in Sleeping Beauty when he, charges down and he slays the dragons and he cuts through the brambles and he ascends the tower and he wakes up the princess. He slays the dragon. That is the part of our psyche that hoards our greatest treasures. Because what the heck does a dragon need with gold and jewels and maidens and all that nonsense of what people think is valuable? No, it's the psyche of the hoarding, this is what everybody wants, so I will show that I have it and have it and have it type of mentality. And then the brambles are the beauty, but also the poison of the world. You get pricked by enough rose thorns, you can die. So here you cut through that. You cut through the poison in the beauty of the world. You ascend the tower. You ascend your consciousness. You wake up the sacred feminine within you. And then you see yourself as a complete individual. You see yourself as champion of your truth. And it then brings you to this place of power, to this place of greater understanding. All right, Cancer. I hope this reading has resonated with you. It was an absolute pleasure to be able to bring this to you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I am sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as you move forward towards the win, as you embrace your dreams and as you grow in power and as you step into the beauty and the serenity of your beautiful, magnificent self, as you step into the comfort of your own skin. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Cancer, and may you have a blessed moon.